It is noteworthy that this move comes as the mandate for their presence in the region expired this week. As per the East African Community, 300 Kenyan soldiers and 287 South Sudanese contingents have already departed from DRC. Soldiers from Uganda and Burundi are currently in the process of preparing to leave the country, with their departure expected by January 7th. The general populace has openly expressed contentment with the resolution of the East African Community to retract its forces, vociferously denouncing their prior presence, while resolutely voicing support for the armed forces of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Public sentiments reflect unanimous approval for this course of action. It is noteworthy that the departure of East African Community forces marks the culmination of a chapter that commenced in November 2022, when 7 African states affiliated with the East African Community dispatched their military personnel to the eastern precincts of the Democratic Republic of Congo in response to an entreaty from local authorities. The primary objective of the East African Community intervention was the liberation of territories previously seized by a military faction identified as the March 23rd M23. Although the East African Community Peacekeeping Force is leaving the Democratic Republic of Congo after December 8th, the bloc will remain involved in the quest for peace in troubled region, the heads of state said. East African leaders have expressed their commitment to remain part and parcel of the efforts to restore calm in the eastern part of the country, if not for any other reason.
Vivu ni adui mkubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa, kwani ndicho kiini hasa kisababisha chonja. Ewe ndugu yangu we, amka kumekucha, kamata jembe na panga, twende shamba. Hata wewe mwanangu, amka kumekucha, kwani hizi ndizo saa za kwenda shule. Hata wewe karani, amka kumekucha, kwani hizi ndizo saa za kwenda kazi.
yeah, for so long for now, and now, so you can definitely be able to understand the problem, where the problem comes from. But obviously, the DRC Congo problem is a little more complicated than how you may think it is, because the cause of the problem is actually not is actually not uh, the cause of the problem is actually may not be come from inside Africa. Maybe it's something come from uh, you know, outside of Africa, which is as a fact, because obviously DRC Congo has been pointing out that the neighbor countries are the one who are disturbing the peace in the country. So I definitely think that I don't know what's gonna be the next move for this. I was trying to fix these voice things, but I think I get this right now. But so I don't know what's gonna be the next move. Do we gonna keep no peace in DRC Congo or not? So that is one of the other things, because obviously the M23, they are still fighting in DRC Congo. And so what is gonna be the next move? Who knows? But obviously, the problem is still in DRC Congo. Our fellow African diaspora, I think they should also take responsibility on on DRC Congo issue as diaspora, and to see how they can try to help, because the issue of diaspora, the issue of DRC Congo has been obviously long-standing since I think 1990s until today. DRC Congo does not know the peace. So it's his responsibility, it's his priority of all of us as Black people to stand with DRC and see what we can do to help bring the peace back to this very important country in Africa, especially when it comes to the future of economy and the population as well, because I believe is the third country, if it's not the fourth country with the biggest population. I think it's around the fourth or fifth. So if you guys you can hear me, please send me a comment on the comment section, so I know that you guys are following with me. But so we're gonna leave from there, and then we're gonna go to Ghana. We're gonna go to Ghana, where we have this. Uh, we have this. With this. I don't even know how to say this. So don't like to say this, but anyway. So this homosexuality, LGBTQII, all QFDC, whatever it is, bill that is being in the government for the past 3 years, I believe, which is how to be done with. But there is some people who are backing this up. Let me play this with you, then I'll be right back.
Bill has been on the order paper for quite some time now, and there's been no action. It is currently at the consideration stage, where it will be taken clause by clause, and amendments proposed will be dealt with. According to Sam George, the Speaker of Parliament had made clear indication that that bill must be taken today.
If you are not opposed to it, Mr. Speaker, we are here. The Speaker himself indicated when he was handing over to the first Deputy Speaker that we should take the bill. He's going to meet some guests and return to the House to complete the amendments on it. This is something that will take us 1 hour for 3 weeks. What is the problem of this august House with dealing with this bill, which matters to the Ghanaian people? So, Mr. Speaker, I want to know if there is a problem with us taking this bill once and for all. If there is no problem, let's take it. We've taken other bills with 4 people sitting in the chamber.
Honorable Sam George.
However, the Deputy Majority Whip, Lydia Al-Hassan, said there was enough time before Parliament would take a break to deal with these matters. The Speaker of Parliament ruled that because the chairman of the committee was not on the floor at the time this issue was raised, he was going to adjourn sitting to the next day.
The committee chair is not available, and the directive is that we end with the questions. That is agreement, and we engage, and the agreement is we end on questions and we continue tomorrow. We have the whole day tomorrow. We have the whole day tomorrow.
Yeah, so this is the bill in Ghanaian parliament. They are trying to pass or to stop. I don't know exactly. They have something to do with it. I did not follow up what is inside the bill. But one thing I know as absolutely is the bill that deals with homosexuality, which a lot of Ghanaians has been opposing. But what is secret behind it is that there are some people who are receiving money from the Western, of course, maybe from Kamala Harris' team, to actually to do something about it. It's pretty much like money involvement, because you know how US is always involved in spending money. Instead to spend money building the bridge and the schools and technology infrastructure like the cars industry and so on. They spend a lot of money on promoting homosexuality in Africa. What is this? Prisons for themselves, not even for us, but prisons instead to sponsor schools. So, anyways, what is going on here? People are saying that there is people who are receiving bribery regarding this bill, so that it does not pass until next year. So once it goes to next year, then I believe that maybe they will have something, some change about the bill, so it will not be able to pass. So that is in Ghana, where we were now. So I'm gonna move and shift from Ghana to another country or countries where we have. I'm not gonna take a break, but I'm gonna shift moja kwa moja straight from Ghana to the country of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, where the three countries are planning to actually create a federation. So the Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, they are planning to create a federation in the region. So this will be a big move for them. You know, they are definitely trying to create the federation, which I think a lot of people, if they really love people love Africa, they should be able to join the country once it is established. But this country is, if they accomplish to create this country, it would be even very important or meaningful, because they are trying to fight against France, which is actually the previous colonizer of those three countries, and they decided to do so by creating a federation. I don't know what kind of federation it's gonna be. If it's gonna be like US's federation, it's gonna be very strong. Of course, is gonna live from Guinea, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, and somehow even Chad maybe joining the table as well, because there is some rumors show something like that. So if that ever happens, so we will be having a very strong federation that is gonna be able to actually create some kind of liberation or independence for Africa and for African as well. So we don't know exactly what kind of federation it's gonna be, but if they ever do so, this one is gonna be the best federation that we have ever had. Remember, actually, it seems like it's the history repeating by itself. In the past, there was there was alignment that took place during the time of Kwame Nkrumah, which was include Mali and Guinea. It was already been established. Actually, it did not work. It did not last longer because the colonizers were inside the situation, and then they disturbed the plan. But Mali, Guinea, with Ahmed Sekou Toure, I believe there was one more country, and Ghana. They were into to form that kind of government organization. And then later on, Thomas Sankara also, he actually created something like that as well. And I believe even I believe even today the constitution of Burkina Faso is still open to such thing like that, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if I can find that. I think it's still open to the unity of any country. Yeah, I think it is actually on 20. I think is the family is a basic. No, it's not this one here. I'm trying to find the Burkina Faso Democratic Unity, and there is one article on the unity of Africa inside the constitution. Yeah, here it is. The unity of Africa, Burkina Faso. Okay, let me put this on screen for you so you can read with me about the unity of Africa in Burkina Faso constitution. Until today, the constitution is actually open to any country that may want to unite with Burkina Faso is welcome. So here it is, the title number 12. So article number 146. So the title number 12 says that of African unity. So Burkina Faso may conclude with any African state agreements of association or of community implying a total or a particular abandonment of sovereignty. You see? So actually, this is the best constitution I have ever seen that is still sitting there. That means actually, according to this article 146, that any country in Africa can actually ask Burkina Faso to join and create any kind of framework government or unity, and Burkina Faso will definitely abandon all her sovereignty or all what do you call that, the borders and things, and agree to put or to create one country. So this is how Burkina Faso constitution is actually launched, or is actually how it's made. So from that time until today, the constitution of Burkina Faso actually is still open constitution, whereas even the constitution of African Union does not mention something like that. So those countries, once they unite or they create some kind of federation, they will be very powerful countries, of course, especially Niger being the first country that the with the uranium, possibly among the highest country that produce uranium, but also even each country in there, Mali too has a lot of gas there as well. So each country there, they will be able to benefit. The only concern is maybe these countries, they may be bringing in, they may be leaving France, and then maybe they are bringing in another country, which may be last year. A lot of people has been pointing out the current involvement of Russia in Western African countries. So anyways, they also have Niger and Burkina Faso, I believe, and Mali and Niger, they have also abandoned the payments credits or arrangement that was signed by France, and which is pretty much like trying to liberate themselves from the French government and the French banking institutions, which is the ones that are colonizing Africa. So that was the news that I want to pass to you, so you may understand that possibly in the future we're going to have a new federation or a new country, which anyone who really loves Africa should be able to support this, because this is our fight. This is our dream, at least to see some of the countries united in Africa.
Jiepushe na uvivu kijana, saa zimefika sasa. Amka we, jitayarishe kwende shule kijana. Hata we mfanyi kazi, jitahidi uamke na mapema. Time zako zimekwisha baba. Ule uende kazi kila pahali. Ndicho kiini hasa kisababisha chonja. Uyangue, amka kumekucha. Kamata jembe na panga, twende shamba. Hata wewe mwanangu, amka kumekucha. Kwani hizi ndizo saa za kwenda shule. Hata wewe karani, amka kumekucha. Kwani hizi ndizo saa za kwenda kazi. Vivu ni adui mkubwa wa ujenzi wa taifa, kwani ndicho kiini hasa kisababisha chonja. Ewe ndugu yangu we, amka kumekucha. Kamata jembe na panga, twende shamba. Hata wewe mwanangu, amka kumekucha. Kwani hizi ndizo saa za kwenda shule. Hata wewe karani, amka kumekucha. Kwani hizi ndizo saa za kwenda kazi. Vivu ni adui mkubwa wa ujenzi wa taifa, kwani ndicho kiini hasa kisababisha chonja. Ewe ndugu yangu we, amka kumekucha. Kamata jembe na panga, twende shamba. Hata wewe mwanangu, amka kumekucha. Kwani hizi ndizo saa za kwenda shule. Hata wewe karani, amka kumekucha. kwani hizi ndizo saa za kwenda kazi. Uvivu ndio adui wa ujenzi wa taifa. Jiepushe na uvivu.
Yeah, so the next news is about global Black History, Heritage, and Education Center. So this news comes from here in Ethiopia, actually. Let me see if I can share this with you on screen. Maybe you can see that. So the news comes from here in Ethiopia, where the African Union has inaugurated global Black History, Heritage, and Education Center in Addis Ababa. So the African Union, here it is. The Global Black History, Heritage, and Education Center is inaugurated in Addis Ababa at African Union Hall. In the ceremony, Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, Demeke Mekonnen, said that having the headquarters in Ethiopia is recognition of Ethiopian contribution to the liberation of Black people, according to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Demeke Mekonnen. Yes, so now I already have a few questions about this. One is that how do you inaugurate a global Black History, Heritage, and Education Center, while African Union, the same African Union, has rejected to join Haiti to join inside the African Union? How do you add those things together? And I know definitely even the CID, the 6 block for diaspora, I know that one is not gonna work either, because African Union has been trying to eliminate the presence of Black people from diaspora inside the African Union. Jamaica has no space inside the African Union. Haiti has no space inside the African Union. Colombian Black people has no space inside the African Union. Black people in British has no space inside the African Union. And now you are talking about global Black history heritage. What are you talking about? Anyways, so that is also another thing happening. I don't know what this institution or this heritage or center is gonna be doing inside African Union, because you can't even get inside African Union anyways. Is more than like going to Europe. So so that is another news I just want to share with you folks or my family about this global heritage and education center inside African Union that was launched this past week, or this week. Actually, it's still this week, because I think it was launched on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So now, what is my next news? My next news goes to Liberia. So no, Liberia, pardon. It's Sierra Leone, actually. My next news goes to Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone means actually the mountain lion. Mountain what? Lion. Mountain lion, they have there was almost another coup that almost took place in this country the past week, this week actually, where the country almost experienced a coup d'etat, which is very crazy. So according to the news we have is that the coup d'etat failed in Sierra Leone, but maybe we hope it was happen. Maybe we would have another big federation, as I was saying in the preview news, that there is a federation that's been formed between Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and possibly Guinea. So if Sierra Leone will join the team, then now we have ECOWAS that been acting in behalf of the Western or the colonizer, would be actually chopped in pieces, as Dr. Arikanak Ombolko said. So the coup failed in Sierra Leone, but I think maybe is eventually maybe it will happen. Who knows? Not only there, because as I said before, we really are waiting for a lot of coups in those countries. Actually, there is a lot of more coups that is gonna be coming up in a lot of those countries. So that is something also I want to let you know that there was a coup attempted in Sierra Leone or Lion Mountain or Mountain Lion, but it did not take place over there. So, and I think I am going to go towards the last news that I have on list for you guys is about reparation. So reparation. So Mr. Brian Kagoro is a well-known Zimbabwean public speaker and actually also influence, who said that African people we are still asking reparation for few millions, but if you look how much is that those the like US is getting from Sudan, just accusing of Sudan being a member of terrorists, is a shocking fact. So he said that even the war we talk about here is not even close to the money they are taking only from Sudan. So he insisted that he didn't say that we should not ask for reparation, but he insisted that the reparation should be something that's bigger than what people are assuming. And whereas this is Dr. Omar Johnson, of course, I'm on news here. This news is called what? It's called the Braza, the Braze. Yeah, so now here is how Dr. Omar Johnson said. Dr. Omar Johnson is a Black American motivator, speaker, and a psychologist. He is being controversial figure at least on the left for the denouncing of homosexuality and interracial marriage. You know, that's not what he want. However, his approach on reparation is anything but controversial. So Dr. Umar Johnson, Whitelock play a clip of Dr. Johnson explained how he is pro reparation, but does not think they should be given right now. So Dr. Umar Johnson does not believe that reparation should be given now. Before he is any reparation conversation, before there is any distribution of reparation, we have to first organize and elect the people we want to represent us, he said, because every penny you get from reparation is going back to the Chinaman, to the Arab, to the Jew, to it's going to Mercedes, is going to Nikes. Then black people say you don't know that is it true? Yes, I do. I do know that is true because a psychologist, the best predictor of the future behavior is current behavior. He continued. So, yeah, Dr. Umar Johnson, he does not think that reparation should be given now. Instead, it should be given maybe later on, after black people have elected people to present them. So this is according to what the news article saying. Brother Eugene, you're in studio. Welcome. How are you?
Yeah, thank you, Brother Monty. Hey, I'm Brother Eugene reporting live from Charlotte, North Carolina. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to the New African Network this evening. And we're certainly hoping that you're having a wonderful holiday season, kicking off the holiday season. And hey, man, it's going to be Kwanzaa coming up pretty soon. We have a few more weeks before December 26th. So we're looking forward to celebrating Kwanzaa And maybe we'll have Dr. Malana Kalanga come on, the person who brought Kwanzaa into focus for us here in the Americas. And maybe we can get him to come on to the program. But thank you for everyone having us on and being a part of this program this evening. And Brother Mani, how things are going for you over there in Ethiopia, brother? How's everything going?
Well, everything is going very well in Ethiopia. We are pushing. There is a lot of things going on inside the country itself. Ethiopia is not a small country. Ethiopia has been independent since 3,000 years ago, whereas America is a 700 years older country.
It's still a baby. It's still a baby.
But at the same time, I think that the country itself, so it makes a country as Ethiopia having so much things going on inside politics, ethnics, religions. The religions here are very old, ancient actually. More than at least maybe you can count at least 6,000 or 7,000 years old religions are here. So it makes it a little more complicated, but the country, some areas is moving it straight, is going very good. Some other areas is going backwards. So it depends what you are talking about. But I'm not interested in local issues. Me as a Pan-Africanist, I'm always focusing on level of Africa, at least, or Black people in general. But also my book, I finished to type that. Now I'm gonna go towards a section of editing that. I think that's pretty much what I'm working on so far now. Start to teach Kiswahili on TV. You may see some of the clips. Trying to see if people may be interested. Who knows?
Right.
And regarding to Dr. Maulana Kalenga, I've been looking for him for a long time. Absolutely. As I think I said this before, we are working towards African Kiswahili Center.
That's right.
In Ethiopia and most of other countries in Africa, which I don't think I saw that in the US. There is a lot of culture centers from colonizers countries. There is the British Council, which is very big and is here to promote British culture, British language, which is English, British history, and how they are heroes, and they are very powerful. And there is Alliance Française, which is French area where they teach French. They teach you how, if you speak French, it doesn't matter where you come from or what kind of race you are France already. There is a Goethe, which is the Germany institution that teach Germany language and culture and history and accomplishment or achievements of the Germany. There is a Chinese culture. So many of those, but there is nowhere to find any African culture center or anything deals with Black people in general. So we are taking this on. Is something very expensive, so expensive actually. It's like building a museum because we want to have so many things inside. It's not only gonna be based on teaching Kiswahili, but it's also gonna be based on like this Kwanzaa you're talking about. So the history of Kwanzaa, it has to be inside there. The history of South part of Africa liberation, because it was most of done in Kiswahili as well. I'm talking about Rhodesia. Back in those days, that is Zimbabwe, Angola, South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, Mozambique. So those information is gonna be there. The ancient Egyptians history, because that's ours, is at least we're gonna have some piece of it. The first schools we ever have, University of Timbuktu, information is gonna be there. The history of Bible, how Bible was written in Africa, is gonna be there. Of course, the history of our race in the US is gonna be there. So in Argentina, in Brazil, we're gonna have to have something very big.
Right, all across the African diaspora.
Absolutely, and Europe as well. Of course, if you look in Black People Museum in Washington D.C., it talks all about slavery. You know, it seemed like people were taken to slavery from Africa somewhere. They were doing nothing, and they were captured, and they were taken to slavery. And from that point, then you start to learn how their achievements, their accomplishment in music, in movies, in
Hmm. Culture.
technology, in culture, and so on. But there is nothing before slavery. It's like you just come and catch people who are maybe somewhere, I don't know, maybe sleeping, and take them. They don't tell you exactly that people were taken there. They were.
Right.
They were kings. Some of them
Yeah, for
they have
sure. For sure.
they
There
have
were plenty from the continent. And
yes.
a lot of that has taken place over the years where we have been colonized and brainwashed and to thinking that, African people did not have a history before the white man showed up. And of course, we are here to change the dynamics of that and to give other people a perspective of who it is that we are as a people, as an Black African people, and the achievements that we've done and accomplished here on Earth. We have to recognize the fact that many of them are folks those so-called who don't care too much about African Black people, but hey, we're the first people that lived here on this planet and was here way before they came along. And so there were many things that we had achieved, and these things are not taught to us in the Babylonian system. And that's so important today because when you talk about the race-based theory and the educational system, when you leave these things out, then it diminishes a person's right to be. And also coming with the self-respect that is well deserved amongst the Black people. We have given nations like the Americas and the European nations a lot over the centuries. And so it's very important for us to install this into our children, those who are coming up behind us. But it's also important to inform and educate the rest of the world. So that we could play our rightful place on the stage. And a lot of times, people who don't know about the lineage of groups of people, then sometimes they can be the identity of the person itself can be diminished, and therefore looked down upon in a world of ignorance. And so that's what we're here to do, is to break the chains. We're also here to educate people, and that's what the New Africa Network is all about. I'll yield the mic. Thank you, Brother Amani.
Yeah, so definitely I was watching, you cannot talk about African America, even African American self history, when you leave out Prince Hall Freemason. You will definitely miss the biggest point
Mhm.
because the most of civil rights started inside the Freemasons. What is this? Halls or temples. I don't know how you call that. Not only that, not on the principle of Freemason, it never be mentioned when it comes to African either liberation or backing down or backing off. When it comes to what is this Black Bully, this they call them Divine Nine as well. They always don't want to tell us exactly the accomplishment of Black people in the U.S. Towards them, because if you look careful, you're gonna find out most of big figures in U.S. Even the prime minister, the vice president now, she's a member of one of them. So the museum in Washington D.C. is of course is good in some degree because it was not built by Black people. So people don't really have
Well,
uh,
you have to think about which one, and you have to really identify that. In Washington D.C., there are two museums. There is the Smithsonian African Museum, and then we have the African Historical Museum, which was built, I believe, only a few years ago, early 2000s, and that museum is built to explain the history of the African American lineage and Africans, period, when they were first brought here on the slave ships to America, but it also brings you all the way up to the present day time. Those things, artifacts, historical artifacts, also documentary and live art and culture, things that are specifically attached to African people, and that lineage is very strong and dynamic. So I very much encourage those individuals who have not visited the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. to do so. It's a very informative place, and it's a very enlightening place for you to be at as well. For more information, you can also contact the New African Network, and we can get you connected. They have many tours. And of course, that's going to be a part of our African Diaspora Political Economic Think Tank Conference coming up this fall, fall 2004. We will be taking tours to both museums, the African American Museum, but also the actual African Museum in the Smithsonian Institute.
So it's two museums. So which the big one, which is on
It's called 14th Street.
Okay.
Well, you have one that's on 14th Street Northwest near the Lincoln. Well, it's actually the down on the center mall area of 14th Street. That's the African American Museum. And then as you go further over to the Constitution Avenue area, that's where you have the actual African Museum, which is directly connected to African heritage and history, with a lot of the artifacts that were stolen from our ancestors are in those museums. But there are certainly areas where you can go to and visit those artifacts as well.
Okay, yeah. So okay, I did not know it's two, but anyways, it's me. I was able to check out the new one, and I found, of course, it's good. I definitely say it's good because at least that's all they can do for us. But until when you do for yourself, then if you want the best one of it, you have to do for yourself. What need to be done for Black people must be done by Black people.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But it's all good because it's a start, and it is a catalog of Black history itself. And so every little bit does count, and especially when you talk about preserving history, although they're in Babylonian museums, they have been well maintained. And that is also a part of the reparations discussion as well about those artifacts and those artifacts being directly connected to us. And so, yeah, that's another story, and that's another day for another day.
Yeah. So anyways, and I think if you may be aware, I don't think we have something that we can be proud of as a museum as Africans here in Africa, on motherland. I don't know what they maybe have in Ghana, or what they may be having in Nigeria or some other part. In Egypt, they already took those for us, so we can. That one is gone. When you are defeated, you are defeated.
Yeah, that's another story by itself, and to get a little information about that, they kind of rant and rave about Africans claiming ownership to the pyramids and the artifacts that are left there. But truth be told, you have to do a little bit of education. And a lot of those people who are there in Egypt today, they are descendants of invaders. And they have whitewashed, along with the Europeans, the Greeks, and the Romans, have come through during the invading times of Egypt and the land of Kemet, which is Black Africa, have been there whitewashing and distorting to make it, claiming that piece of land was a part of their history. But when you do the DNA results and the DNA tests in Egypt, you're going to find most of those people had nothing to do with the connection of the historical artifacts that are left there today for them to see. So we all know now, with the truth being told about our history and our lineage, it's only just that they come to terms and grips with what the true reality of the aspects of that part of the land is. But again, that's for another day and another time to discuss.
Yeah, so we definitely we keep losing. By the way, I always tell Black people, once people take your country, They invade you, and then they don't even want you to study that they have invaded you. Those are Arabs, by the way I'm talking about. There is no one single class where you will see that Arabs invade north part of Africa and destroyed everything on the 7th century. Nowhere in class, no one is teaching about this. They don't teach this. They don't say how they conquer us. They don't say what they did. They did to destroy North Africa.
Yeah, for sure. You know, they don't say anything about how the Arab nations conquered and enslaved the people on the east side of Africa, where the Europeans pretty much dominated the west side of Africa. And as we dig deeper into our history, a lot of people will learn a little bit more about how those nations were carved up that we see today on today's maps. And then when you dig deeper to find out about the indigenous people who occupied the land way before they showed up, man, you'd be surprised. You'll be awakened to another aspects of Black history, and that's the truth and the reality of it.
Yeah, so that is the biggest problem we have. So, anyways, we are trying to see how we're gonna put this museum together, and we need the contribution of ideas, and of course the supporting letters and finances. We're hoping that the government may give us a free land. Land in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa specifically, is expensive more than Washington DC. It's absolutely expensive. It's not something you will definitely want to afford to buy by yourself. So we are working towards to see how we can get the land from government, which is basically need the recommendation letters to find a way to get to those who are in charge of doing that. And then after that, we'll be able to build the land the way we want, and the land should have at least, because we're gonna a little more focus on Kiswahili, because we don't want, if we just cover all Black people in general, eventually people will say, hey, why don't you use African Union? Or why don't you put this? Why don't you do this? But if we say Kiswahili, at least we know exactly which our area is, but inside we will cover everything. That's the whole agenda. So when in talking, we just want to say Kiswahili Center. The good thing is that Kiswahili cover everywhere. It covers Black people in general. And then after that, we will say, hey, you know what? We need this and this and that. But we want to have classes, Kiswahili classes inside. Kiswahili heroes, those who are advocate Kiswahili on high level, and Kiswahili advocates, Kiswahili experts. We're gonna have gift shops, restaurant where you can buy Kiswahili food. We're gonna have Kiswahili classes, and we want also maybe to have on backside hotels or hotel where people from Kiswahili countries, readers who come to Addis Ababa, they should be able to stay, and things like that. So we're still looking into that, but we will need a lot of help on that as well. Do you have something to add on that?
Yeah, for sure. And for those who don't, if this is the first time you're hearing about Swahili or Kiswahili, Kiswahili is the new African business language, and it's been around for centuries, but we're getting back to our mother tongue, and it is a language that would be very conducive to all Africans who are in the business world and the business. And if you have an organization or if you're looking to communicate across many African languages, Africa has more than 1,000 languages all throughout the continent, including the colonizers' languages, which most of us speak, but you have the indigenous African languages as well. And so Kiswahili helps break up the madness that's in between that. And it brings us all together under one language format, but it's also getting us back to our heritage and things that we know culturally. And so it's a very big dynamic thing that's taking place all throughout the African diaspora. And that's one of the reasons why the New Africa Network and the Kiswahili School program in Ethiopia, we're going across and we're building bridges, and we're also bridging the gap between brothers and sisters throughout the African diaspora with our African brothers and sisters on the continent. We're building Africa's future Africa is the future, and we are a part of that. So just remember that. Black Power.
Yes, so yeah, definitely. The history of Kiswahili is actually rooted inside the black or the blood of black people, especially in the US. You will not believe this, but I think black people in the US have been on frontier when it comes to the growth and the promotion of Kiswahili. I was listening to Dr. Khalid Mohammed last time. He said Kiapo, which means actually the preach. And he talked a lot of things in Kiswahili. Of course, Dr. Maulana Kalenga, he's the founder of Kwanzaa, which means actually the first thing, whatever it is, the first. And all those Nguzo Saba, which means the pillars, 7 pillars of Kwanzaa. This Imani comes in there, which is my name actually. It means to believe or to trust, and to faith as well. It means same thing. So Kiswahili has been around Liberian grow. Nakupenda pia from Michael Jackson music. So that is also Kiswahili, and all the music, the movies, Simba, Hakuna Matata, all of those.
Right,
Yes.
right. All of those programs, those TV movies and programs, and
Howard University actually still have, since maybe back in 80s, I believe, they still have Kiswahili classes going on there. So it's very shocking that Howard will have Kiswahili class, but in Ethiopia there's no Kiswahili class. It has ever happened. I'm the first one to open one, which we are fighting to do so. So anyways, this generation, we are blessed as Black people in general. We must really be give thanks to God or to Almighty. Yes, because we are
yes, sir.
we are in a very good position to make a lot of change with technology we have. Of course, it also is very dangerous because our technology it has third person who is watching and listening to everything you do, but also it's very easy to send a message and to get the results and to be able to communicate with almost everyone you want. You can get the contacts now. So we that is number two. As Black people, we found ourselves in a situation where because of the oppression that we have globally, we are almost like one country. The country that does not have the borders. It's there. It's hanging in there. That we don't have borders. You can say it's one country like borders. It's like one family that is not really identical, but something is there. So when you hear Black person having a problem in Brazil, you never go to Brazil, maybe, or you don't even know what's going on there, but you feel like one of your family is in a problem because of the oppression, because of the struggle we go through every single time. So it creates some kind of togetherness, cohesion. So that is something also we have to appreciate for that. And another thing is that we are the original people. We are the no one exists before us, and definitely will be no one exists after us. So that is something that is good for us. We have to take that and respect and be proud of that. Now, but we are also the bad ones because we're the only one who have always Black Judas exist. I don't really know why.
Well, brother, I think we're starting to get that under control now. And I think Black people all over the world are now waking up to the true aspects of who it is that we are as self-identifying and self-determined people, And this has come with us also becoming more educated about who we are because we're digging deeper. We're also peeling back the lies to get to the truth. And no one can dispute the truth. The truth is the truth. That's all I can say.
Yeah, so definitely. So for that reason, we are trying. Everyone is trying something, trying to see how we can bring up all together to liberate Africa. Africa must be liberated, and we definitely have. We don't. We have two most biggest problem we have as Black people. One is that we don't examine worth. The richness, the wealth is some of the things that we Black people do not examine. We don't do analysis. We don't evaluate in deep look and see if we are getting more richer or we are getting more poor. We don't look where our people get our richness from or not.
Well, you
So
know
that
what,
is
brother Bonnie, I kind of beg to differ there, and I'm going to have to disagree with you because, we've come a long way as African people, Black people. We really have. And when you look at our educational background that we are in today, we're more knowledgeable than what our previous predecessors, our ancestors have been. And that's because we've had the opportunity to get ourselves schooled, and but we also have to realize how long colonization and slavery lasted with Africans. Most of us are just out of 100 years, 102 years of slavery, and then you have Jim Crow, and you also have colonization, where many of our African nations in Africa, they had just gained independence, and they were heavily stepped on militarily by the Europeans and the Arabs, and those who went there to colonize the nations, and also were a fundamental piece of stifling African politics and economics, and even till today. But we've come a long way, and I believe we, as a new breed leader, African generation, have certainly been a part of fostering the push to embetter ourselves and getting back to being self-determined and self-sufficient. It's not going to happen overnight, but certainly I do believe that we're moving in the right direction of what we need to get ourselves back into a position of self-respect and knowing our net worth, our net worth in the world. We've contributed a lot to pretty much everything, and we have to give ourselves that credit also. And sure, we have a few bad apples amongst our people. You have bad apples amongst any race. Have those apples that exist, but we can no longer use the excuse that the things that we fell into as a part of the atrocities that took place against us, we no longer, as a new breed leader generation, are going to stand on that alone. And we are self-determined, and we're picking ourselves up by the bootstraps. And so definitely we beg to differ in how people perceive us today, because we have leveled up within the last, I would say the last 100 years, from our parents really putting in the grind. Our grandparents, they didn't have it as great as we had it, but they did what they could during a Jim Crow era, and was able to do the best that they can. But it's important for us to understand too that each generation has its challenges and its struggles. It is important that we understand that each generation must struggle, and we also must make a difference in this chair while we're in it. We're a generation now where most of our parents now have retired, and now have stepped into their place in boots. And of course, for us, it is up to us to how we make and determine our future. We must write our future, but we also must educate ourselves of the historical past, so that we'll know where we're going to head in the right direction for our future as well. Black Power.
Thank you so much, Brother Eugene. Yeah, definitely, we have made some progress. Definitely, cannot deny that, because obviously, if you look at the history where we were in the past maybe 20 years and where we are today, there is definitely not, no one can debate that we haven't made any progress. We did in a lot of areas we have, some areas we haven't, definitely, but it's something we should be proud of that as well. And then
Now, don't get me wrong. We do have to break some chains. You know, we have mental chains on the brain, and many of us are Babylonian brainwashed. And as we begin to dig deeper and study harder, and also take action, be proactive, we're headed in the right direction. And I feel very positive about this. And we're on a new horizon. You know, it's the jumpstart of the African Industrial Revolution that is going on right now. And Babylon is trying so hard to keep this from happening. But we all know that the Most High is with us, amongst us, and anything that we ask the Most High for, we the people are granted what we wish. And so we have to be proactive, but we also have to be very focused about what's going on in a very chaotic world these days. You know, the devil is running very rampant all across the earth, and the devil is in his last days. And in the last days of the devil, there will be chaotic moments. And as we defeat the devil, we'll see a new horizon amongst with the state of Africa rising. Up, you mighty people, up, you mighty race, as our great ancestors say, the Honorable Dr. Marcus